towards them, as there was by other departments in this city during that eminent domain battle. Shame on Ms. Kessler for making any suggestions of discrimination against the senior center and its staff. The reality is, this city discriminated against Anna DeFaria and Rose LaRosa ethnically, culturally, economically, and also discriminated against them as elderly. And yet still, they found a home and happiness in the senior center. The director, Patty Kronicki, and her staff were able to rise above it. But I'd like to address the audience as well this evening, because what troubles me is, for the second time I'm here, defending Pat Kronicki, and yet Mr. Pallone and Ms. Selly have been an integral part of that senior center for many years. If they had any hint of discrimination or financial impropriety, they would have moved in, but they haven't.
1 minute.
So ask yourselves this evening, and then I will request this audience tomorrow at the Senior Center luncheon to walk up to Mr. Pallone and walk up to Ms. Selly and state, why aren't you like Vincent Lepore defending our Senior Center Director, Pat Kronicki, from Alice Kessler? Why did we have to come to a council meeting last night to do what you should have done on the public record? That's the question. They have overseen all financials through the budgeting process of that senior center. They have been an integral part of all the events there. They have not witnessed any discrimination, and they have not witnessed any financial improprieties. Therefore, they should be defending Pat Kronicki. Best of luck to you.
Mr. Lepore, it's an interesting interpretation, but one that's false. And I'm not going to argue with you, Mr. Lepore. Please, your time is up.
I will respond to that. Because you're not
No, I'm sorry.
I am
Council
not
President, please.
Mr. Pallone, you're a liar. You're a liar and a charade artist.
Sorry.
Allow this to
You're
come.
out of order.
Mr.
Oh,
Lepore,
there was out of order.
Mr. Lepore, I speak to Pat all of the time.
Then you should have defended her.
Councilwoman Selly is the liaison to the senior center. For the last 8 years, both of us have supported every single initiative that she has ever brought before us. So you can come up, sir. Sir, you can come up and you can say whatever you want, but it is just inaccurate, false, and you're distorting the facts. That's your opinion. I'm giving you my opinion, sir. Speaking of which, Mr. Lepore, I contact you constantly, in person and on the phone, to come and talk to me about anything. Almost every week, you do not respond to any of my calls, to anything that I've ever said to you for the last 4 years. And I will continue to reach out to you about this and anything else, but you're completely unresponsive. That should be on the record, Mr. Lepore. And I extend that to you today and to every day. I am asking you to please come and see me, and I would like to talk to you about any issue that you want to discuss, as well as anybody in this room. I've made that clear. That's true of me, and that's true of everybody sitting on this council. That's all I have to say, Mr. Lepore. That's all I have to say, Mr. Lepore. Council President.
David Allen Brown, 449 Norwood Avenue in Long Branch. I'm coming tonight. I came in April, and I've come probably for the last 22 years, and I've gotten no response, formally or informally, from the city council or the police department in reference to Norwood Avenue. Hollywood and Norwood, since that last meeting, there might have been 3 or 4 accidents, and one was almost fatal. Now, I know that the police department told the previous mayor and council they were going to investigate it. I have not seen anything in writing from the mayor or the council or the police department what they've sent to the county. It's a very dangerous street. And if you know, it's more dangerous in the summertime because there are probably, I don't know, maybe 5,000 residents in that neighborhood extra in the summertime, but it is very dangerous. Matter of fact, since I've lived there, I've had 4 people crash into my house right there. I mean, literally crashing the house, but it is very dangerous. I know they put up signs, and we might not even have all the records of it because half the time the accidents are handled by West Long Branch, the other half are handled by Long Branch. I mean, there needs to be something to put a light up there because what happens is people speed up coming around the bend, coming from Broadway after they take that light, and oftentimes it's a blind side, and then you get people that come from Hollywood and they just this accident. I mean, I don't know. The chief of police, he'll have all the records, but it's a dangerous corner. And I guess the main reason I'm here tonight, I haven't heard anything about a response to it. And I remember matter of fact, everybody that was on the council now was at that meeting when I spoke in April questioning it. I just want to know if the police department or if they've done anything with the county or if there's been anything that's been done to look into that street, not necessarily for me, but for the people who live there and those that live in the corner. I don't want to ask the residents to come up here but they continue to complain about it, and they complain to me about it all the time. So that's all.
Mr. Brown, I can't speak for what was done with the previous administration. I don't know, Chief Roebuck, are you familiar with this at all? But we'll certainly follow up on it now.
So the problem is it's county road. The problem is that half the people come from the West Long Branch side, the other half come from our side. We have put larger signs up there on our side, on both sides, the large stop signs and stop sticks over there. We requested that West Long Branch do the same on theirs, but that's pretty much all we can do. I don't know if they have or not. But we can only ask. We asked them if they would do the same on yours, on their side. I don't believe you'll ever get a light there just because of the amount of traffic that goes through there. It has to be a certain amount of traffic.
I guess, Mayor, I'm just looking for somebody to do some work on it. Because for the last 22 years, nobody from the city has actually worked on it. And it's not on Mr. Roebuck or you or whatever. I just want somebody to actually send a letter or somebody actually to do work on the project. Not just assume nobody's worked on it. I guarantee you, if they work on it and look at the statistics, there's reason to put a light there. And I don't want to get that.
We'll follow up immediately, Mr. Brown. We'll follow up immediately. Thank you.
Thank you.
Avery Grant, 405 Atlantic Avenue. I'm late coming because I had my board meeting. But in talking with Mr. Lepore, he said there was some criticism of Pat at the senior center. And I'd be very concerned. I was the second chairperson of the county's advisory council, and Long Branch has always been in the forefront with senior centers, even though we established them across the county. And I also chaired the swine flu inoculation of all our seniors here. And we went to Washington, got money for the Asbury Park congregational senior building down there. So I'm well aware of all the senior work and what Pat has done. So if there's some problem, let's don't disturb something that's good. And I don't really know the background, but he seemed very upset that maybe someone was taking a pot shot at Pat. And I would say, please, you'd make a mistake if you did that, because she's doing good work. Long Branch has a good name in senior centers, the things that we're doing here, and she's always looking for something new. And I would sometimes ask, well, she wasn't back there when I was the chairman, but I would ask someone from Long Branch to travel with me to places around the county to give them example of what was going on. And of course, I was a representative to the White House Conference on Aging, and I brought to them some of the things that we were doing. And that's why we were able to get some money. We started the SCAT system, Meals on Wheels. So please, let's keep, and I have confidence that you're a good board and you're a good mayor. So let's move off as you're doing a good job and keep the community together. And please leave the center alone, just support it. Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
Hi, Ernest McNolly, Asbury Park, New Jersey, born in Long Branch. I just wanted to say that recently I was in the process of trying to purchase a home in Long Branch, and I guess some of my esteemed distractors in Long Branch seem to have soured some of the sellers, and all of a sudden they come up with a counter bid, which is okay. But I do think in the near future I'll buy a home in Long Branch, and I think maybe I'll get a little bit more attention when I come here when that happens. So for starters, I'd like to say that I'm just wondering, I'm sending a lot of emails and things to the clerk, to the city council, and I'm hoping that they're getting forwarded.
Yes, they are.
Excuse me?
Yes, they are being forwarded.
Okay. So being that there's such a disturbing nature of possible
Mr.
criminal...
McNolly, did you want us to comment on it? Sure.
Sure.
Go
Well,
ahead.
is that your time or mine?
That's your
'Cause
time.
oh, it is my time? Then no comment, thank you.
Well,
No,
after you-
I want to use my time. Okay.
After you use your time, we're going to make a little comment, so please proceed.
It's okay with me. So there's disturbing and could be criminal behavior by city employees in those emails, character assassination. There's profanity attached to your picture, to some of the council members, to Senator Gopal, etc., at public functions that you've had. And they put F blank 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 K, my name, and they put it on your picture, and they're posted all over the internet. They're up on stickers all over Asbury and Long Branch. Long Branch firemen are claiming responsibility for it, and they say that you're involved. They say that the new city business administrator is involved, that he happens to be a holy smoker with them, and he's down with everything, he's okay with it. We find out that Mr. Musi, who was not so popular in the election, apparently you made the head of the search committee for the city business administrator, which I find interesting that last week when someone said, gee, why don't we try a fresh approach? I wondered why at the time you wouldn't say to that person, well, we used Mr. Musi to do the search, and we already gave someone a contract, and they were hired at that time. But instead your comment was like, okay, we'll make it a try. I think that was kind of withholding some facts that had already happened. The next day it hit the newspaper. I was dismayed because it's Eatontown. Mr. Musi was an Eatontown police officer. When he was a chief at Monmouth University, he was very close with Mr. Jackson. The FMBA is claiming close association with Mr. Jackson, that they're holy smokers and they're going to keep doing what they're doing. They're going to keep raising money from the church, keep having alcohol, cigars, parties all night long. Apparently it's all approved, etc. Okay, so that's that. I also think that the character assassinations here last week, someone here was actually sending real-time videos of me out to some of the fire marshal and some of the other people that were attaching profanity to it and sending it to me right while I was here. And when I offered it to you, you didn't want to see it, but it's okay. It's all documented. And by the way, the main person I'm talking about is Fire Marshal Thomas A. Siciliano. Now, another thing I find interesting is I open the link, and lo and behold, we have Chief Roebuck endorsing the city council that you fired. Now, I find that, have you seen this?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a little confused. Mr.
What about what?
Foley, but-
You want me to show it to you?
No, I saw it, but I don't know what you're saying there.
It's an advertisement for the city council that you fired
City
for
council?
business in
Are you
well,
talking
isn't-
about
isn't-
the ad for the city attorney?
Yeah, city council. No, not council, I-L-E-L, council, the lawyer.
Oh, okay.
Ansel Grammarin. You fired them, that's why we have Mr. Renone, right? Here's Chief Roebuck endorsing in his name the fired city council. Is there any coordination here? You see it? Second page of the link. Chief Roebuck endorses James Aaron. Is that my time up?
Your time is up, thank you.
I had a few more things, but, okay, anyway, you wanted to respond to me? No?
No, no comment, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else? Okay. I need a motion to close the public participation. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hello, good evening. Patty Veracchi, 246 Jerome Avenue, Oakhurst. I just had 2 points to make tonight. I know the senior center is a very popular place. My mom enjoys it tremendously. I know that there's a lot of seniors that have had problems to travel there to sign up because they only allow sign up in person. And I'm sure that the whole problem with that is that they have to be careful to not overbook the events. So if people were to call in and sign up their friends, I'm sure there must be a lot of logistics involved with that make it complicated. And I don't know what calendar they go by, but I think we have to really give credit to the seniors that want to stay active socially, mentally, physically, as much as possible. It's healthy for all of us, for our community. And possibly maybe we need to expand the senior center. I know that I don't think there's any place that they can go to swim right in town, and that is an excellent physical fitness activity for them to do. I also noticed Mrs. Selly has a very hard time with just coming up on the stage here, and I don't think that some things are that expensive where possibly a small little ramp could be made here for someone with a disability. I would just like to, I know that there's a new committee for the disabled forming, and I hope that you would try to get some of the opinions from the seniors, the disabled, and even Vince Lepore. As much as there seems to be tension there is a lot of truth into, many of the things he tries to point out to you guys. And the other point I wanted to ask was, at one of the previous council meetings I went to, I asked if there was anyone from Long Branch that specifically applied for the business administrator, which was a question that I was asking for someone else. And from what I'm seeing, there's still a lot of talk about that. There's still a lot of unanswered questions. I don't think the questions are a personal question, like, well, who's the resume? Let us see their profile or who they are. But just in general, were there people from Long Branch that applied for the position?
That's a question.
That would like to have answered on record,
so-
yes.
Yeah. So let me be clear. I thought that I had at the last
Yes,
meeting.
but it
and
wasn't
you-
on record.
And
just
I
wanted
called
to be-
you and I made an extensive
Correct,
conversation.
correct.
At the last meeting, I was asked by you if anyone had applied for the position of business administrator
Correct.
from the city of Long Branch, and I did say no. Realizing, after I answered your question, that was all new applicants. The only person who applied from the city of Long Branch was Mr. Hayes. There was not another Long Branch resident who applied for the position of business administrator. If you remember, I went to the back of the room and I mentioned that to you. You know,
I just wanted it to be on record,
Absolutely.
not just to me
I
personally.
misspoke in the sense that we were looking for a business, doing a search for a business administrator. Obviously, most people knew that
Right.
Mr. Hayes was from Long Branch. But if your question is now, was there another applicant from the city of Long Branch other than Mr. Hayes?
Correct.
The answer is still the same, and it is no.
All right.
Now, I noticed on Facebook that there were one or two people who said that they were applying.
Yes.
There was some confusion as to business administrator. You asked me about the business administrator. There are some applicants from Long Branch, several applicants for Long Branch for other positions, but
Right.
not for the business administrator, which was what
My
your
question.
question was directed at. So if you want that on the record, I hope I've cleared that up.
Yes.
That's a fact.
All right.
Mr. Lepore, I will add, had put in an Oprah request that
Correct.
he wanted the names and the resumes
Right.
of every individual.
But that turned out where there was no answer
So
or response.
Mr. Raynone responded to that, and quite frankly, I think it's very fair. I mean, I don't think when people apply for a position, there's the expectation that their application is
Oh,
for
yes.
the public
Again,
record. And in addition to that, Patty, let me also say that several of the applicants, you know, had other positions. So, I mean, it really would be unfair to do that.
Right.
I also want to just throw out another point here because, and I apologize with Mr. Lepore, but you had asked to get Mr. Lepore involved. I would love to get Mr. Lepore involved. I mentioned that at several meetings. I'll repeat again that I call him. I try to talk to him. I want to hear what he has to say. Years ago, we had a relationship. I would call him. He would call me. For some reason that ended. I don't know why. But I'll give you another point, and that is that he also requested all the names of everyone that was on the transition team while we were putting that together. That was not a public document. That was not an operable document. Mr. Raynone made that clear to him. But what I offered to Mr. Lepore and what I said to Mr. Lepore is I called personally, which I didn't have to, the 9 or 10 chairmen of the various transition teams and said, would you mind if I released your name? And they all said yes. I didn't want to call 60 people. I didn't think you know what I'm saying? I mean, so in other words, to change that, to distort that in a way is really unfair. I suppose I could have spent my time calling 60 individuals and saying, would it okay to be released? But again, the expectation when somebody volunteers for something is not necessarily, I think, that they're going to feel like, okay, well, my name's going to now be in the public record. Do you know what I mean? But I went out of my way to call the chairman, to make those 9 calls.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if I'm addressing your question. And again, I keep repeating myself here with the senior center. I talk to Pat all the time. She's been in my office. I went to the senior center recently, not because of an event, to speak with her. Dr. Selly and I speak all the time about the senior center.
Right.
And I meant that. And Dr. Selly, correct me if I'm wrong, there hasn't been a single initiative in the last 8 years that has been brought forward by either Pat or Dr. Selly that we have not supported. Am I correct with that?
You might even want to talk about the fact that we're talking to the county, you know, to.
Yes, and I mean, Ms. Wittes, for example, we just had a meeting with the county that she organized with Dr. Selly, with myself, with Pat, to see what new programs and what things we could put in effect for seniors.
Correct.
Something that hadn't been done before.
Right.
So I just take a little offense to Mr. Lepore when he comes up here. And I don't want to personalize this because tomorrow I'd love to sit down with him.
Right. Well, for the sake of transparency and for the public, sometimes it's better to do things on record as much as maybe you prefer to do it in a personal level. I guess that's my opinion. I'm sorry. But I do understand your point of view. You know, it sounds
Thank
like
you.
you've reached
I
out
appreciate it.
and Now, at least it will be on public record, the answer that there were at least one other applicant from Long Branch. Thank you.
Thank you.
I need a motion to close the public participation portion of this meeting.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolutions. We can take the listed resolutions as a consent agenda. Please note that there have been 2 additional resolutions that have been added, which are R 214-18 resolution recognizing Hispanic Heritage Month and R 215-18 recognizing German Heritage Month.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Mr. Dangler?
In regard to the resolutions, I vote yes on all resolutions except for R 212-18. On that resolution only, my vote is no.
Mr. Vieira?
Yes.
Dr. Vogt?
Yes.
Dr. Selly?
Yes.
Mrs. Wittes? Yes. I need a motion to approve the listed application.
So moved. Second.
Roll call. Mr. Dangler?
Yes.
Mr. Vieira?
Yes.
Dr. Vogt?
Yes.
Dr. Selly?
Yes.
Mrs. Wittes? Yes. At this time, I'd like to ask the council members if they have something they'd like to say. Councilman Dangler?
Yes, thank you. On two weeks ago at the Trinity AME Church, they had Family and Friends Day. Reason I'm bringing it up now, I just want to compliment one of the police officers who came to the event. A couple of them came, but one in particular, Officer Shapiro, he came and came with a bright smile, and he played with the kids. He made the kids feel comfortable, and I like to see more of that when it's possible, because it was unsolicited. You could see he was just comfortable, enjoying himself with the kids. He even got on the ground and did some push-ups. He was showing off a little bit, but regardless, it was just nice for him, nice to see that, and I just want to publicly say I do appreciate that. Also, I hear I guess the members of the senior center. I do hear you tonight. At first, you almost had me wondering if I missed a meeting, but I don't believe, and if I'm out of line, please let me know, but I don't believe we're even considering a new director. We did have a complaint. We did have a complaint last, at the last meeting, but it's really not our position to debate back and forth on when somebody makes a statement, and we just, we listen to it. We don't ignore it, we just listen to it. But again, we're not, I do appreciate you guys coming to support what your senior center means to you, and I just want to congratulate you for coming out and voicing your opinion.
Thank you. Councilman Vieira?
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming. I'm with Bill with the senior citizens. I applaud you for coming out. And remember, there's a scale. We have one, and you tip the scale the other way. So remember, it looks very good, and thanks for coming out. Another thing is that when this team was formed in the beginning, we were very big on having some local jobs for Long Branch people. So I'm going to report to you that I've been knocking on these doors for these developers, on these contractors on the ocean side, and I did get somebody to commit to hire some local people. So if there's anybody out there that's looking for a job in the construction field, please give me your information, and I'll try to hook you up with these contractors. You might have to pass a drug test, but I don't think they'll hire because most of the construction's involved with that. So if anybody's out there, give me your information. It won't be right away, but when they do the construction inside, the sheetrock and all the cleaning, they will hire somebody from Long Branch. And I got 90% of the contractors to agree on that. All right, and good evening. Thank you.
Councilwoman Vogt?
So 3 quick things. I stand with my 2 fellow council members here in congratulating the senior center members for being here tonight. It's and in terms of not taking a stand, just as was said before, not taking a stand, but it has always been the reputation I have always heard is that our senior center is totally outstanding. So you know that you have our support with that. Second thing, I'm gonna that kind of stands out to me, David Brown in particular, to your comment, but I think with a few comments, and I think this is for us to pay attention to. We need to close the loop. We need to get back to people, and we need to. All of your comments are taken very seriously. They prompt a lot of discussion and thought on how we can respond. And I think maybe sometimes we don't get back to people enough to let them know. So I think that was an important point to be made. And third, Patty, thank you for bringing up the suggestion for the very simple adaptations that we can make. You know, those of us that don't experience a disability aren't aware of the simple things. The simple things. A ramp is. So for us to be aware that, and keep making us aware of those things, because it's a very, that's what we want to do. We want to respond on those things that can make everybody comfortable to participate. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And Councilwoman Sally?
I look out in the audience and I see a lot of friends from the senior center. Yes. And believe me, I am very proud of that senior center. I'm very proud of all the members and all the volunteer time that they put in. And for those of you that worked on the garden, I was fortunate enough to get some of the tomatoes. I want you to know the senior center is the place to go for those of you that are a certain age. It's very important that we keep our seniors involved with what's going on in the community. I'm very, very, very happy, and I'm sure the director will be happy to hear that all of you showed up tonight and stood up and said what a great place it is. Yes, we have a couple of people who are unhappy about certain things, and you know, we can't make everybody happy. So now I'm going to say two other things. First of all, tomorrow night is a town meeting at the old historic Long Branch High School. Begins at 7 o'clock, and if you're interested in what's going on around town, please attend. And the third thing I have to say tonight is I would like to thank Mr. Hayes for the job that he did as business administrator. And again, thank you all for coming out tonight. I appreciate it very much.
I think I've talked too much, but one thing that Dr. Selly just said is I do see a lot of friends out here, and we all appreciate your being here. And what is it, on October 3rd at 10 o'clock? I look forward to the boardwalk, or the walk, whatever that is. So thank you. Thanks for being here, and to everyone else as well. And thanks.
And I too like to thank everyone for coming out this evening, and your concerns mean a lot to us, and we certainly want you to know that we're very supportive of the Senior Center. We would like to see programs improve and make available to you whatever resources we can find to, bring to the Senior Center. We're looking into buses, maybe going to trips, and possibly someone said they'd like to go to a pool. Maybe we can, look into those things. The county has a lot of resources, so we've been talking to them, and hopefully, if you have any other things that you would like to see us look into, please feel free to contact us at any time. I hope everyone comes to the town meeting tomorrow night. We're interested in speaking with you and just bringing the City Hall to the community. And we hope you'll be able to make it. And I hope everyone has a great evening, and thank you for coming tonight.
Council President, I just want to add one thing since you're here. Pat, Dr. Selly, and I have all been trying very hard to address the issue of the driver that's lacking at the senior center. So we'll continue to work on that, and we're trying to do whatever we can to get that going. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. And at this time, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Yeah, but when I was administrator, I've never seen